Hey guys, what's up? Power Up Boxing here. Sergey Crusher Kovalev versus Andre SOG Ward. Uh, the betting odds. Let's go into this. I was actually surprised by the betting odds. I thought Sergey Kovalev was going to be the favored one in this fight, just because just because Sergey Kovalev's been knocking out like 85% of his opponents. And he's just been facing the better competition lately, especially in the last 5 years. Andre Ward hasn't fought a top 10 guy. Andre Ward has been beating top 10 guys, undefeated guys. And that's why I would think Sergey Kovalev would be more favored. The fact that people bring up, Sergey Kovalev didn't look as good in his last fight in front of his home crowd in Russia, and just because he didn't knock the guy out, but he still dropped the guy. He hurt the guy throughout the fight, and he won the fight. Just because he didn't get a knockout, that contributed to, I guess, the betting odds. But John David Jackson, Sergey Kovalev's coach, said he was trying to please the Russian fans too much, trying to go for the knockout, and everyone knows, it's pretty well known that usually when a fighter goes for the knockout too hard throughout the fight and forgets about winning and just goes for the knockout, they usually get knocked out themselves, or they don't get the knockout, or they don't look as good, right? So never go for the knockout. This fight, though, Kovalev and John David Jackson are prepared to go 12 rounds. They're not looking for the knockout. If the knockout comes, it comes, and that's the kind of mentality you should have. Obviously, you want to get the knockout, but don't force it too much. Just let it flow, right? So, but then you could say, though, you could counter that and say Andre Ward didn't look good in his last fight either. So I really don't know why they're basing. I guess they're basing off the betting odds off Andre hasn't lost since like 12 years old. He's a gold medalist, and he's undefeated. Like I said, he hasn't lost in over since 12 years old or something like that. And they're looking back at the Andre Ward, I think, of the Super 6 middleweight tournament. They're looking at the Andre Ward that knocked out Chad Dawson, that stopped Chad Dawson. I think he stopped him, right? I know he dropped him a couple times. I forget I think he might have TKO'd him. I forget now. Maybe it went to decision, but he dropped Dawson throughout that fight. Just that kind of Andre Ward. And I don't know if we'll see that Andre Ward, to be honest. We'll see. He's been out for so long. Shoulder injury, ankle injury, promoter issues. And obviously they're basing it off his skill, right? He has proven skill. Just kind of like Mayweather. No one bets against Mayweather because he's proven to shut down the guy's offensive capabilities. So, but still, I just think the power of Kovalev, the technique, he's proven himself against top 10 fighters in the last recently, and Andre Ward hasn't fought any top 10 fighters. So I think the edge should go to Sergey Kovalev. Let me tell you guys the betting odds first of all. The betting odds are, I went to multiple sites. Bodog, if you guys know that betting website, Bodog has Andre Ward minus 145 and Sergey Kovalev plus 115. So it's not that big of an advantage, actually. It's pretty close. I don't know how to convert those numbers, but I think that's very close. And if you what I mean in numbers is is it 1-2 odds? Is it 10-1? I don't know how to convert those numbers, but you guys maybe do, because I don't really bet, so I don't know. But usually the minus is always the guy who's favored to win, and the plus isn't favored to win. So 145 Andre Ward, plus 115 Sergey Kovalev for Andre Ward. And then there's another site that has it minus 118 for Andre Ward, minus 108 for Sergey Kovalev. So that's extremely close. That's almost dead even. And then there's another site, a Bleacher Report. They have it plus 135 Kovalev, minus 153 Ward. So very close odds, guys. But there a lot of sites, it seems to be favoring Andre Ward. But I was gonna say bet on Kovalev, right? If you want to win a bit more money, but the problem is the payout isn't that good on either side because the odds are so close together that if you bet $10 on Kovalev, you're not going to get that much even. It's not like it's a huge odds, right? So really just pick the guy. If you're going to bet, pick the guy you think is going to win, and don't bet on this fight for a huge payout because you're not going to get it. It's a very risky fight because not in the sense that, like, obviously it's a very close fight, but in the sense that it's risky because the rewards aren't that big either way. If you bet for Andre Ward or Kovalev, the odds aren't very favorable and you won't win that much money. And it's a very close fight as well, and the odds reflect that. 50-50 fight. I'm giving the edge to Sergey Kovalev. I think he's going to win either decision or TKO, possibly dropping Ward throughout the fight. But if Andre Ward is to win, he has to obviously do what he always does, shut down his opponent's offense, do what he wants, fight at his pace, and he can win a decision. But other than that, I'm picking Kovalev. Like I said, by just his technique, he's been proven against top 10 fighters for the last recently. He's been more active, and that power and the technique and the power go hand to hand very well, and that's why I'm picking Sergey Kovalev to win this fight. So who do you got winning this fight? Do you agree with the odds? Let me know in the comment section below. Power Up Boxing, powering down. Don't miss the fight.